my channel, the mental health series on Chat with Lulu. How are you doing? You know, how have you been enjoying the series thus far? You know,
hold on.
How have you been enjoying the series thus far? So this episode, we're talking about we're talking about intellectual disability and related disorders. So intellectual disability and things around it. Yeah, and I'm with your fave. You know, I hope it's your fave. I'm your girl, Ruth. Ruth. Okay, so Ruth, tell us like a little bit on like intellectual disability, because a lot of people don't know it.
You think so? They're wise.
Tell us about intellectual disability. Tell us about what we're talking about, the related disorders, and yeah. So,
alright. So intellectual disability. This was formerly known as mental retardation. So yeah, the name is now intellectual disability. No more mental retardation. Please, no R word. So, intellectual disability.
the only MR we want to hear is Mr.
Right. So this is basically layman words. Disorders that actually affects a child's academic performance, as well as their communication, their social skills, their independent living. Yeah. So this is basically what intellectual disability is. And the related disorders we'll talk about today. We have autism spectrum disorder, which is a spectrum, so many
stuff inside,
right? And ADHD.
Dyslexia.
What's ADHD?
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Dyslexia and other learning disabilities.
Yeah, so putting it out there, we're just like bringing it to your awareness. Like, we're not going in depth, we're just letting you know that these things exist and there are people around us that have such, and maybe a little way we could help with like managing such. It's not going to just, because these stuff are really frustrating, especially like in Nigeria. If you can remember, like when we were growing up, some people were not just good in school, and then they were not beating them, like
look at this dude,
them, like all these things. So people like were just isolated to them. Like there's just a lot of stuff. People don't know that they exist, and because of this, they don't know how to manage and handle themselves and the people with this. So we just decided to bring this to your table. So don't use us as an exam. As in, if you want to know deep stuff, you have to like do more research.
Or read DSM-5.
Or read DSM-5, ICD-10 and the case maybe. We're just bringing this to your awareness that this stuff exists. So now, Ruth, what are like the causes of like these disorders, you know? And like it's commonly known as like neurodevelopmental disorder. So neurodevelopmental, like
because it happens from childhood. So usually diagnosed or discovered before age 5.
The symptoms especially, Maybe because places like where there are no psychiatrists to give a diagnosis, like in Nigeria, my favorite, not like there are no psychiatrists, but we don't believe in, we did not believe in mental health. Like it's just these days that people are getting woke, and I'm really happy. So what are the causes basically?
There's so many causes, like myriad. We have they're grouped into 3. We have the prenatal causes, which are
during pregnancy, before they born the child.
Then we have the perinatal causes.
That's the birth of the child, around the time the birth of the child.
So, and then postnatal,
that's after the birth of the child.
So what the child is prenatal. So prenatal causes would be things like fetal alcohol syndrome. So say the mom is an alcoholic.
Cocaine. The mom is drugs.
Drugs, whatever substance, marijuana, cocaine, alcohol, all these harmful substances
to the child.
Cause,
even when the mom takes like teratogenic medications that are not good for the baby. It could be used to treat UTI. It could be used to treat something else. Maybe she not know she's pregnant. Like you know, like that first month of pregnancy, you just skipped your period and you're still am I not that kind of thing. Yeah. So medications, infections.
The mother is infected. The baby as well. So those are the prenatal. And then we have perinatal. So things like asphyxia, where the child, maybe there was a difficulty in pushing the child, and
so hard.
The child was, did not have access to oxygen for so long. Maybe the child was strangulated by
cord.
Okay,
postnatal now.
Postnatal will be things in the child's later life. So it could be infection even to the child, like that. So infections that actually affect
as a baby,
yeah, it could be a child falling, trauma to the child. Baby is very small, these things, the child fell down, or too much things that actually cause trauma.
Trauma to it and stuff. So like all these are postnatal things that can mess them up here. So intellectual disability, let's start from there. So Dr. Ruth, give it to us.
D O D L E Gulu Gulu.
So for intellectual disability, in layman's terms, just like she said, we're not going deep. So it's basically two major themes I would say is like intellectual disability. So these people have like a low IQ. The other part will be the adaptive functioning, which has to do with communication, social skills, and independent living. So basically, people cannot live by themselves. They cannot take care of themselves. They cannot be dressed up or go do what you think that a child of that age should be able to do for themselves. So they can do, and then communicating with their peers is very difficult. And then making friends, all these things difficult. And then they can also do well. So that's part of the low IQ. So like the new way of diagnosing it is not just IQ. Before it used to be just IQ, so it's now IQ and the
adaptive test.
And there's like it comes in different severity.
So there's mild, moderate, and severe. I feel like the part that you said they can't even like dress up themselves, that's like severe. Sometimes like they can dress up themselves, just that a normal person should dress up themselves, let's say around 5 years, but this one they will be able to dress up themselves around like 7 years. So like they take longer to meet developmental milestones that their mates are busy. So they don't walk early, they don't sleep early, like all these things. These patients, life stressors, you don't expect them to react the same way as someone without that kind of thing. So if they break your heart now, you can fix yourself. These people, they break their heart.
So usually they have problems with reasoning, like abstract thinking is very difficult. So abstract thinking is something like symbolic kind of interpretation, like say you know how you say apple does not fall far from the tree, and you understand that this people they're just their mind is just what they see that they can. So
they're not so fast. Let's call them simple.
Right. So all this logical reasoning, all this kind of making decisions, they cannot make decisions for themselves. They cannot, say they're not like the whole motivation that you say, I want to be a they cannot really make plans. They cannot.
And sometimes they need help. They need help. So autism is the next one. So like, tell us about autism.
Okay. So the general idea about autism is basically children that have problems with communication and social skills, as well as they also have this repetitive behavior. The whole part of the social skills and communication would be they don't know how to like take social cues, like or to the back and forth like we're having now. Like a child that's autistic may not be depending on the severity may not be able to have that. Then how to read now? So like if someone is angry, I can easily read. Oh, she's angry. Maybe temper, like what I'm saying, maybe stop. Things like that. They cannot read those things. So social, basically anything that has to do with
people, communication, like all this.
Usually like very tough for them.
And a lot of times like these kids, you see them when we are younger, we're supposed to be playing with our car together, like all these group things they do usually be like so even children with intellectual disabilities sometimes
they also
like
have the social.
The fact that like sometimes people feel like, so are you somebody there might be saying that, so are you trying to say that someone cannot be stubborn and not be good in school, or someone cannot be stubborn? Like the fact that are you trying to say that everybody that's not good in school has intellectual disability, or everybody that's no, that's not what we're saying. The fact that like you see one person not good in school, not good in communication, met their milestones, the fact that all these things are in one person, should raise a concern for intellectual disability. We're not generalizing it.
Each individual
has their own expression of it. So autism. So also in autism now, like the stereotype is like the fact that
so repetitive behavior. So you could see some of them like rocking and they just
tapping,
or it could be a mouth movement where they just keep doing something and they usually have this fixated interest. So it could be like they're so into maybe fire trucks, and like it's just only fire trucks, and they're so interested, they know everything about it, they know, like, and that's all. Every other thing, you know.
Movies, everything about the fire truck. Like some of them are into drawing. Oh my god! And they are so good at art, music, all these other abstract things. Yeah, and they will also be very good in school too. Like their IQ does not have to be.
It's different. Like it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
It's very important that we say it's a spectrum.
It's a spectrum. Different people present differently.
And
also
they're
like
even high functioning, like autistic. That their IQ is even higher than normal, like
you can say that
average. Like,
very high. Yeah. And then another thing is that like the repetitive, the routines that they have.
Yes,
like, so this is a child. If you see it in a child, like example, they sleep by 6 p.m. Anything that happens, like they are not able to be at home or on their bed by 6 p.m. You see them throwing tantrums, like very irritable, like they are very, so they like routines.
The way there has to be a pattern.
So the next one is like attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
ADHD.
So like from the name, there's like the two parts to the attention deficit and then the hyperactivity or impulsivity. So basically these children have problems with paying attention. An average person can zone out and say, okay, I'm listening to all the children. The children might be doing something about I'm only paying attention to all the children. These children, they don't have that ability. So they are hearing this, they're hearing that, they're hearing different things, and then like they're getting distracted. So
they're not focusing on anyone.
Yeah, so they cannot like fully focus on one thing. That's the part of the attention deficit where like I remember example that Songe was where you'll be telling the child go and wash the plate and do this blah blah blah, and then the mother is shouting go and wash the plate, but she doesn't know that the child's attention stopped at go and go, and then the child goes and does whatever he wants to do, and then she's like, this I told you to wash the plate before I don't. So it's not like they don't want to do this, but they usually have problems at school, like this thing. But it's not because they want to be a nuisance or they want to be troublesome. It's just because they do not get what you say.
So that's the like attention deficit side.
And then the other part is the hyperactivity or impulsivity. So this is where they are basically like they're hyperactive. So they are always on the go. Then they might do things like without judgment. So that's the impulsive part of it. So like they will not like the judgments, like as to knowing when to do something. So these are children that in class, like the teacher will be speaking and they will just answer before the teacher even lands, that kind of thing. Or they still look like they're causing trouble because they will just stand up and want to go somewhere.
I'm going to be working.
I remember like while we were doing rotation, there was this child that came with it was really like the child could not really sit down. As soon as he came in, we'll stand up, we'll do this. It was a lot. Like, it was. So you can imagine that child like going up somewhere from where we came from.
Nigeria.
Lots of spanking.
Honestly, and the thing is that we just beat these children. We don't
discriminately. You don't even know what's
going on. You don't know what's going on. Like, not like we're against beating. Me, I'm not against beating, but like a child with ADHD, there's no beating. We beat this child and we correct it.
Meanwhile, if you understand, you can help the child.
You can help the child, and there are medications that can help the child focus. So
therapy,
all these
better parenting.
Because like all these things, it's not even entering, you're not beating it, you're pouring water on the stone. That's the idea. It's not entering, that kind of thing. And then finally dyslexia.
So basically dyslexia is one of the there are many learning disabilities. We just beat dyslexia because we can't talk about all of them. Basically these children have problems with learning, especially with reading and writing. So like these children need special attention. Not that they can't get there, but they need more attention than the average child would need. Like reading is very difficult for them, and writing as well is very difficult. So they can miss words together. They can, instead of how to write B, they can write the B facing the other side, upside down, things like that. So that's basically
and they could learn with other means like pictures.
They could learn with pictures, maybe Play-Doh, audio, like there are many other ways. But if we don't recognize that this is the problem this child is having and seeking help that is suited to that child and the condition they have, we will not be able to.
And like a lot of times when you send them to like these cases, like all of them that we've spoken about, when you send them to like regular schools, they might not be able to cope. Like because this is not how we're meant to attack their own learning process. Like their learning process is very different. So, but you need to know and you need to be aware that such things exist, and then so that when you see some traits, a child not doing well in school does not mean the child can never do well in life. School is just like there are a lot of people that do well in music, like, and
in
honestly, art, painting. You see, like they have.
You can even still do well in academics, but the way you teach, the way
just
you
attack it from another angle versus the conventional. Go to school, write your test, all these things. So there are like ways that you can attack it. So moving on, so the prognosis, like we've already spoken about it already, but like still trouble, like prognosis is like the aftermath, like the aftermath about it. So after diagnosis, because they have this thing, can they still live a productive life? So could you like?
Yeah, they can, and we've talked part of these things because first, awareness is very important. That's why you're doing this, right? So letting people know that these things actually exist. You see traits. Take your child at that early age. They can even be helped because their brain is still, they can still moldable, still malleable. So basically, seeing the ability in their disability.
Oh my God! What?
So like someone where they can, guide them in the right path. So if all this help that they need is they are being guided in the right, this thing, their strength is being exalted and things like that. They are being boosted. Their self-esteem and things like that is being. They can still do well. The one that created electricity, whatever. He had dyslexia. Agatha Christie, she had dyslexia.
And she's a writer.
And she's a writer.
Oh.
She's a writer now. Listen to them, speak to them, because they're also prone to depression too. And
can lead to suicide. Yeah. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. We want to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Post notification bell. So yeah, click on the post. Turn on the post notification bell and stuff. Yeah, and leave a comment. Like if you need help, you can leave a comment. We could like.
Or if you have resources too.
Yeah. You can reach out to us on Instagram, on Snapchat, wherever. Like my Instagram will be here for sure. So you can reach out here and we'll try our best to like help as much as we can. And so bye guys, and see you in our next video. Bye.